Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming. We have this wonderful space here at the ERN2 building. If I remember, that's the Environmental and the Natural Resources 2 building. I don't know where's number 1, but looks like number 2. This is a award-winning building, the most beautiful building on campus. And also we're on the top of the floor, which is the most beautiful room in this building. So, and it's very auspicious. We have this space, and we welcome Professor Jianbao Wang from University of Berkeley and also Peking University. By the way, my name is Zhang Wu. I'm a director of the Center for Buddhist Studies. So I'm going to introduce Professor Jianbao Wang first. Then Professor Jianbao Wang will give a lecture. Today's lecture, the title is From Global Ethics to Multi-Planetary Ethics, a Spiritual Humanism Perspective. Professor Jianbao Wang is director of the Center for Humanities and Business Ethics at the Chengkong Graduate School of Business, Changjiang Shangxueyuan. Starting in 2017, he is also a research fellow at Chengkong Graduate School of Business and a researcher at the Beijing University. He received his PhD in philosophy from Beijing University. His research focus is on humanities and the business ethics, especially Confucian entrepreneurs, in the perspective of spiritual humanism under the supervision of Professor Du Weiming, emeritus professor at Harvard University, fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, and Academia Sinica. Right? By the way, well, I'm introducing Professor Jianbao Wang because he is a student of Professor Du Weiming. I'm also the student of Professor Du Weiming. So I just say a couple of words about Professor Du Weiming, who is a very famous Confucian scholar who had been devoted his time and life to promoting Confucianism in the world. Of course, he now retired, living in Berkeley, San Francisco. And so he's still writing and publish. He just published the book. So this is from Professor Jianbao Wang, and Professor Du passed this book to me. The new book is called Toward Dialogical Civilization, Lectures, right? So this is a collection of Professor Du's lectures. If you're interested, there are lots of books written by Professor Weiming Du. Without further ado, let me pass the mic and also the floor to Professor Jianbao Wang. Please join me welcome Professor Jianbao Wang.
So, thank you, Professor Wu Jiang, and thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my big honor to be here to share my rough ideas regarding spiritual humanism on the angle of global ethics to the multi-planetary ethics. It could take me maybe 40 minutes, or you can interrupt me anytime for further discussions. So I will follow this schedule roughly from abstract preface and the origin, the evolution of spiritual humanism, and then the core elements of spiritual humanism. And finally, we will go to the core topic of today. If time allows, I could make a very simple conclusion remarks. And then we can have a little bit the Q&A sessions. Today I see many big scholars for Buddhism. Without Buddhism, there is no Neo-Confucianism. So we highly appreciate Buddhism and all the other spiritualities. Spiritual humanism is rooted in Confucian humanism, as Professor Wu introduced just now, and enriched through decades of cross-civilizational dialogues, and offers a hopeful holistic ethical framework, integrating self, I will discuss later on, community, earth, and heaven, these 4 dimensions. It's anchored in the Confucian virtue of Ren, Somebody translated into benevolence, and Professor Tu translated into humanity. Emphasizing self-cultivation, dialogical dialogues, and the theo-anthropo-cosmic doctrine. I will put some time on these kind of concepts. Spiritual humanism fosters the emerging global ethics and the coming multi-planetary ethics. This vision redefines humanity as co-creators. It's not only creator, but also co-create with heaven, offering a transformative understanding of human existence and sustainability in the new multi-planetary era. Global ethics are still emerging. Today we have many conflicts of nation states and so on as an essential discourse in addressing planetary concerns, our planet. Yet, multi-planetary ethics are already looming on the horizon, becoming an inevitable necessity as humanity embarks on the interstellar trajectory, despite ongoing debates about the merits of being multi-planetary, especially the project launched by Elon Musk together with nowadays President of America, the journey to the Mars. I would do a little bit of literature review for my topic. We back to Bertrand Russell is concerned that we have reached a moment in human history in which, he said, for the first time, the mere continued existence of the human race has come to depend upon the extent to which human beings can learn to be swayed by ethical considerations. So this moment is very critical. Rousseau captured the turmoil of his era, in the Cold War. But history's coming may once again remind us that as humanity stands on the brink of interstellar expansion, we must consider technological advancements and the profound spiritual implications of the journey. There are several approaches to reflecting on multi-planetary ethics, including the utilitarian approach, the rights and the environmental ethics approach, the virtue ethics approach, and the justice and fairness approach. I'm not able to discuss all these approaches. I just want to focus spiritual humanism with its emphasis on self-cultivation, 修身, dialogical dialogues, and the theo-anthropo-cosmic doctrine, to offer a compelling foundation for evolving paradigms in the multi-planetary ethics. There are three parts. One is the origin and evolution. Second is the core elements. And thirdly is our main topic. As the world's spiritual turn has deepened in the wake of reflections on enlightenment movements, 启蒙反思 in Chinese, all Axel Age civilizations. Axel Age civilizations is initiated by Karl Jaspers from Heidelberg University in 1949 after the World War II, continue to evolve through creative transformation. With this spiritual shift, gain increasing recognition of professional, philosophical, and religious realms. Spiritual humanism, rooted in the profound legacy of Confucian humanism, has been enriched by the dialogues, and particularly under the leadership of Professor Tu, with all these brilliant scholars. This is from Harvard, and this is Charles Taylor, and this is from Islamic World, and so forth. We just published a book with 22 scholars regarding this dialogue. Professor Tu's engagement with Indian philosopher Balasubramanian, he helped refine the concept, distinguishing it from secular humanism by emphasizing its spiritual depths, and universal applicability. As you know, all the religious languages are not universal. So we must develop some kind of universal languages from each Axe Age civilizations. These ongoing dialogues with all these scholars, theologists, political leaders, and also business figures from both Axe Age civilizations and indigenous traditions have shaped the contemporary significance of spiritual humanism. I was impressed on the 5th floor of this building. I saw the Indigenous Resilience Center. So these indigenous influences are nearly same significant as the enduring influence of Axe Age civilizations. Uwe Cousins, he told Professor Tu Min, all these indigenous people are prophets for human being because they can give us a form of consciousness that the whole human race needed at this time. Everybody knows that Chief Seattle, he said he had a very beautiful speech regarding the human being at the end of the 19th century. A critical moment in its education occurred on May 19th. So with Rothschild and Dr. Kissinger, Professor Tu mentioned this formally introduced spiritual humanism on 19th May 2014 in London, the Royal Academy of Arts, to celebrate Dr. Kissinger's 90th birthday. In the academic role, in 2018 and 2019, we hosted 2 symposiums to discuss spiritual humanism. And in 2020, just before the pandemic, in UC Berkeley, we organized the 3rd conference regarding spiritual humanism. And for each conference, we had 1 publications. And due to the pandemic, since 2020 to 2024, we had 42 scholars to deliver lectures on the spiritual humanism, including Professor Wu Jiang and Peter Bo and the just passed away, John Cobb. He passed away sadly in 100 years old. This is in Peking University, and this happened in UC Berkeley Chinese Center, and the 3 books, 2 in Chinese and 1 in English by Georgetown University. And this book was introduced by Dr. Wu Jiang just now, is Toward a Dialogical Civilization Lectures. And here is Toward a Dialogical Civilization Dialogues. And this is a lecture for the Indo, the Wang Yamin lecture on the 24th World Congress of Philosophy in Beijing. And the 25th World Congress of Philosophy was at Rome last year, August. I forgot 1 book is in German regarding the same topic. So that's the kind of literature review regarding this field. But the foundation of spiritual humanism is Confucianism, enriched by the other Axe Age civilizations, the Jewish, Christian, Catholic, Islamic, and the Greek philosophies, as well as different indigenous civilizations. We put together for the future, like Uwe Cousins mentioned, the 2nd Axe Age civilizations. We are going from the past to the future. Okay, now I would like to introduce the core elements and the framework of spiritual humanism. Based on the Ren, humanity, with the 4 dimensions, self, community, earth, and heaven, is a framework of spiritual humanism. But another scholar recommended this is a holistic framework, self, community, earth, and the Tian heaven all put together as organic solidarity and anchored in Ren. So we can have more illusion of this, or diagram, like sage diagrams from Korea. The self is based on the authentic, I used authentic individual, like Charles Taylor used authenticity, as moral and ethical agent engaged in self-cultivation, 修身, is the foundation and the departure point for all the discussion of Confucianism, not only philosophy, but also religion. The second is the community. We use fiduciary community. It's kind of reference from Christianity ideas. And the third one is earth. It's ecological consciousness, recognizing humanity's responsibility toward nature. The last, but the most, is Tian, the transcendent moral order that serves as ultimate ethical reference. So Tian is most difficult, most critical, most sensitive, most complicated to understand the Chinese culture and the Chinese civilization. Generally speaking, these 4 dimensions are not hierarchical, but interdependent, forming a dynamic ethical framework that transcends the rigid dichotomy between the secular and the sacred. Professor Fingeret from UC Santa Barbara has a very great book, The Secular as the Sacred, 极繁而盛. So it's another challenge to understand the Chinese. Unlike secular humanism, which is predominantly rationalist and anthropocentric, spiritual humanism advocates for a more profound, interconnected view of existence. Far from being an abstract ideal, spiritual humanism is a lived practice. So Confucianism is kind of a spiritual exercise, actualized through continuous self-cultivation. As Mencius noted, the indeed cultivated individual walks the path of humanity and righteousness naturally, transcending mere obligation. It's kind of, in Chinese, it's not only obligation. It has something more. So spiritual humanism presents a dynamic, holistic, transcendent, and ethical vision that integrates Confucian moral imperatives with a broader, spiritually enriched perspective. So I think these 4 dimensions have dialogical dialogues within the framework. There are 2 kinds of dialogues. One is dialectic dialogues. The A and the B will reduce the difference with the tolerance. But for dialogical dialogues, A will maintain the difference of A, B will maintain the difference of B, and for the coexistence as the first step. The second step is to celebrate the differences. You will liberate yourself due to the other's differences. So that means harmony, I will discuss this later on. That's the general introduction for the spiritual humanism to enlarge the way of the humanity. So we go to the most important parts of our speech. So I quoted Nietzsche, Death of God, and McIntyre, after virtue, is kind of distracted and, postmodern. Spiritual humanism assumes the mission of rescuing and reconstructing human dignity, has profound implications for contemporary challenges, from global ethics to multi-planetary ethics. So I don't want to put much time on our global crisis. Everybody knows better than me. It's for our blue planet, there are so many problems, so many crises. And to address this importance, the Toward Global Ethics Declaration, 走向全球伦理宣言, sorry in Chinese, was initiated in Chicago in 1993 as the Parliament of World Religions, POWR. And the 30th anniversary ceremony with the signatures of the declaration happened on 14th August 2023 in Chicago. I was there, and by chance, I was invited as one of the spiritual leaders. It's a very big honor for me, but it's very unfortunate for Confucianism, because I'm the representative of Confucianism from the planet to show the importance of global ethics. So I signed Confucius, and some other traditions signed for Buddhism, for Muslim, for Catholic, and so forth. I took the picture very quietly. You can see on the YouTube. I went to Chicago with Shi Yongxin, the abbot of Shaolin Temple, the birthplace of Chan Buddhism in the world. Professor Wu was the initial choice, but he was too busy, so I was his replacement, 备胎. And it's a big honor in Chicago. And before this, 100 years ago, from 1993, is the first Parliament of World Religions in Chicago in 1893. And on that conference, Japanese Buddhism gained a big impact and a name in the Western world from 1893. And the Chinese government, the Qing dynasty government, they sent an official on behalf of Confucianism. And after 100 years, in 1993, we restarted this conference, and now 5 years each for this Parliament of World Congress. However, a new ethical paradigm is required because we are going from Earth to the stars. And Professor Wu told me I can see the galaxy in the desert, right? Especially in our Arizona University. I don't know this before I came here yesterday. Nevertheless, two things fill the mind with ever new and increasing admiration and awe. The more often and steady we reflect upon them, the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me. I think everybody knows I quoted from Kant. At this historical moment, spiritual humanism can enhance the emerging global ethics and contribute to the development of future multi-planetary ethics. So for the first 20 minutes, I want to give you a background of this spiritual humanism, the global ethics, and why we come to the problematic, the coming multi-planetary ethics. Even the global ethics is just emerging. But we tried since 1993 to sign the Toward Global Ethics Declaration. So after one total generation, we should have something new for the future, for us and for our generation. So in the coming half hour, I will discuss 5 points. A, self-cultivation. B, harmony in and through diversity. C, environmental responsibility. And D, a dialogical rather than a dialectic approach. And finally, the mutuality between heaven and humanity. 天人感应. Okay, first. Whereas postmodern thought often leads to value nihilism and moral relativism, I think you know better than me what I want to tell. In the era of extreme individualism and social alienation, okay, it's a little bit from Frankfurt School, but you can trace back to Hegel or even Rousseau. Spiritual humanism offers a dynamic counterbalance that integrates self-care with communal responsibility by transcending individualism and collectivism. Spiritual humanism is a form of personalism inspired by Professor DeBarry from Columbia University. It's not simply separated by individualism or collectivism. So it's another challenge to understand the Chinese. It's kind of personalism. It asserts that while rationality is bounded, spirituality remains boundless. So it's not instrumental rationality, 工具理性. Through self-cultivation, individuals engage in an existential transformation that extends from the body, the first layer, to the mind and the heart, the second layer, as the Neo-Confucianism, 宋明理学, Song and Ming Dynasty Confucianism, and then to the soul, and then ultimately to divinity, some kind of transcendental breakthrough. So I'm reading Hannah Arendt. She put much time on mind, the life of mind. It's a bottomless mind, but the soul is not bottomless. It's inside your body. So, but regarding divinity and spirit, it's another different story. The process is not extremely imposed, but emerges organically as an intrinsic good. It's another topic regarding the good or evil in the body, in the human nature. So the evil was translated in Chinese as criminal. It's totally misunderstood, somebody told me. Aligning with Confucian teachings that emphasize learning for self-cultivation rather than for external validation, it reinforces the Confucian notion that the self is autonomous yet relational, bound by ethical obligations to family, society, and all under heaven. As one of the Confucian prophets, Chen Hao, stated, I use the prophet because DeBarry and Benjamin Schwartz and Mote, they all think there is no creation myth for Chinese civilization, but they do have some sage king as kind of prophets, like the Abraham religions. So it's in Song Dynasty Chen Hao. What he said, a book on medicine describes, one is from medicine school, right? Paralysis of the four limbs of the absence of ren, and D.C. Law, Liu Lianjue, he translated as no feeling, 不仁, 麻木不仁. This is an excellent description. The man of Ren regards heaven, earth, and all things as one body. To him, there is nothing that is not himself. Since he has recognized all things as himself, can there be any limit to his humanity? It's a big challenge to be a human being. Otherwise, you will be kind of paralysis of the four limbs. You have no feeling of the world around you. for the future space travel, and at the beginning, few people are willing and able to participate. In that case, self-cultivation as a transformation process can enable the individuals to foster a new community and maintain himself or herself a good body shape, heart and mind, and the soul and the spirit. It's kind of organic solidarity. And self-cultivation ensures the human dignity is not lost but enriched in the stars, especially when traveling alone in the vast cosmos. And generally speaking, the 2 or 3 years round trip to Mars makes self-cultivation more critical. So I quoted the great learning, 大学, advises being watchful in solitude and sincerity in one's actions, without self-deception, as one would avoid hating a foul smell or loving a beautiful color. So I think if you know the great learning, you can know what I'm talking regarding this 慎独, to watch yourself when you are alone. Beyond that, Mencius uses the sage Confucian as an exemplary sage who transformed himself and the community together. According to Sima Qian, after 1 year, the place Xuan stayed would become a hamlet. After 2 years, it would become a town. After 3 years, it would become a city. So through self-cultivation, you can impact all the people around you and build up a kind of like organic solidarity or fiduciary community. Nevertheless, self-cultivation is a common way. You can have your different, transcendental breakthrough or the ultimate concern. On 18th March, the astronaut Will Moore, he touched down after 9 months, stay in the space. It's very challenging for their health and for everything. But he mentioned is, with his faith bound in Jesus Christ, he cited Hebrews 11. You can find this on the internet regarding his reflection on the stay in the space. Okay, the second is the harmony in and through diversity. So, as ideological conflicts and cultural fragmentation intensify today, a new paradigm for global interaction is needed. Spiritual humanism proposes harmony in and harmony through diversity, fostering a dialogical civilization beyond Hegelian dialectics and cultural relativism. In this case, harmony in diversity affirms the coexistence of differences. Harmony through diversity, in turn, recognizes difference as a necessary condition for authentic harmony. It's kind of a cooking story. You should put salt, pepper, spicy, sour, different elements together. You can have a very delicious dish. If you put salt with salt, spicy with spicy, the dish will be damaged. Same for the global issues. Like Geertz, he said, the radical otherness can liberate yourself. And the African Ubuntu also said, I am because you are. This kind of organic solidarity. More than that, we can go to the grand union under heaven. And a spiritual humanistic individuals, they started from the self to the family, and then to the nation, and then to the universe. It's kind of the enlarging way. It's very difficult to love your family, but you should transcend nepotism. To love your country, you should transcend nationalism. You love the human being, but you should transcend anthropocentrism, and so forth. Go on and go on, go on and go on. I will emphasize this later on. And Sputnik, the first satellite for human being, after this launch, we claimed that the space not belong to anybody, but it means the space is everybody's responsibility. And the multi-planetary ethics is so pertinent that some immediate issues are addressed to the coming, for example, Moon and Mars economy, and the space wastes, and the purified water, and even the vaccines for COVID-19, So it's not far away, it's our daily life. I just want to mention this point. And in this case, traditional nation-state models may prove inadequate in space. And the exploration model is not, adequate. But drawing from Confucian spiritual humanism, the space governance will demand a philosophy of interconnectedness and stewardship rather than conquest and domination. It will be this organic solidarity for all the universe. Here I want to drawing from Zhang Zai in Song Dynasty. Heaven is my father, earth is my mother. Even such a small creature as I finds an intimate place in the midst. That which fills the universe I regard as my body, and that which directs the universe I consider my nature. All people are my brothers and sisters, and all things are my companions. So, spiritual humanism offers an alternative model based on the ethical coexistence with the cosmos rather than its domination. Expansion into space should not be a mere extension of economic and geopolitical competition, but a shared moral responsibility to preserve and harmonize with new environments. Regarding the environmental responsibility and its kind of a sympathetic resonance, one is the green theology that restores the sacred dimension of ecological ethics, like the Pope. He issued some encyclical letter. And the second is the ethical responsibility for the future generations. Is African Ubuntu teaching. The earth is not ours, but something we trust for the benefit of future generations. Ubuntu. I just made a little bit rough introduction. And regarding the dialogical dialogue, I think I mentioned before, the key point is that a dialogical approach can pave the way for mutual acceptance and appreciation of all humans from different cultures, as well as of all myriad things, from bacteria to viruses, and even ET life and aliens. We have to face the ET life and some aliens. Wyoming had this inquiry on the great Lenin. What he said is, the great man regards heaven and earth as well as the myriad things as one body. This is a book from Richard Chan, Instructions for Practical Living and Other Neo-Confucian Writings by Wang Yangmin. It's 近思全习录, 全习录. And Wang Yangmin proclaimed that wind, rain, dew, sound, sun and moon, stars, animals and plants, mountains and rivers, earth and stones are of one body with man. With this broadened perspective, we could manage the challenge in the multi-planetary era. Yes, for dialogue to reach its ultimate depth and fulfillment, sales must be integrated as an essential dimension, providing both ultimate concern and ultimate realization. This necessity is best articulated through the mutuality between heaven and humanity, or, as Raymond Panica envisions it, the theo-anthropo-cosmic trinity, where the divine, the human, and the cosmos are intrinsically interwoven in a transcendent yet immanent relationship. This is another problematic here. So immanent transcendence. We come to the topic of religiousness of Confucianism, you know. Spiritual humanism was initiated from Confucian humanism with enrichment from Abrahamic religions and indigenous spirituality. At the beginning of the new Confucianism movement in 20th century, the first generation, Xiong Shili and Ma Yifu and Liang Shumin, they discussed this topic inherited from the tradition of Song and Ming Dynasty Confucianism by referring to Buddhism. For the second generation, like Mo Zhongshan, Tang Junyi, and Feng Youlan, and so forth, they refer to the Greek philosophy tradition to reveal the philosophical face of Confucianism, to revive Confucius. Due to this kind of hard work of the philosophical face, somebody criticized Mo Zhongshan is kind of divergence, philosophical divergence of Confucianism. Confucianism is neither philosopher nor religion. But paradoxically, Confucianism is both philosophy and religion. So after the second generation projects, after the philosophical development by Mo Zhongshan and Tang Junyi referred to Hegel, Mo Zhongshan referred to Kant, and so forth. The third generation for Tu Weiming and Liu Shuxian, they emphasized the religiosity of Confucianism. In that case, the whole face, the complete picture of Confucianism can be synthesized and to be introduced to the world. So I put in the summaries that from Hellenic and Hebrew streams to 6 classics. The 6 classics is 诗书礼乐春秋, the book of poem, the great book, and the book of ritual, the book of change, and the book of music, and the autumn and spring Spring book. It reveals the dimensions of a human being, from historical, from political, and from the metaphysical, from the ethical, and so forth. Then learning to be human becomes a core value and mission of Confucianism. In that case, how to understand the mutuality between heaven and humanity, we used the notion of Raymond Panica. He's a big Catholic theologist. He used the theo-anthropo-cosmic trinity to give us a hint to understand the immanent transcendence from the heart to heaven. We say heavenly virtue, 天德. The interaction between heaven's mandate and humanity and human practices of expanding the way through self-cultivation weaves a kingdom that is both secular and sacred in the present moment. Human timely expression of being leads to the well-being of the human world by reaching the state of the ultimate harmony, where heavenly virtue permeates and manifests throughout all existence. The doctrine of Min, 中庸, proclaims the gospel of this reciprocal learning and mutual accomplishment as follows. So I don't want to recite the 中庸original text. 天命之谓性. What is obtained, what is ordained by heaven is referred to as human nature. So this is Raymond Panica, this is Tu Wei Min. Actually, it's a new enlightenment project. It's a kind of a creative transformation of Confucianism itself. Self as a creative transformation can fuse being and becoming, creating continuity of being. With continuity of being, the transcendental breakthrough can be continuous from this world to that world, from the secular to the sacred, from the human being to God. In a word, immanent transcendence can maintain religiosity without purposely substantializing God, thereby broadening the faith to encompass global ethics and multi-planetary ethics. So finally, I used the Exodus from us, referring to the Bible. It's a project of the New Enlightenment aimed at reshaping humanity's responsibility in the cosmos. Okay. From the fiduciary community with coexistence for different species is our future life in the space. And meanwhile, the heaven engenders and human complete, 天生人成. Humans can survive all disasters except man-made catastrophes. As an old Chinese proverb says, humans can survive all disasters. So, the final conclusion remarks. To summarize, as humanity embarks on interstellar expansion and enters the space age that extends beyond Earth into the cosmos, the ethical principles of spiritual humanism may offer opportunities to address the moral implications of interplanetary existence with creative transformation and new development and universal yet transformative framework. With this spiritual turn, spiritual humanism is poised to rescue the ruins of after-virtue as McIntyre, and rebuild ethics for the planet. Furthermore, by integrating the heavenly mandate, Tianmin, with self-cultivation, Xiushen, spiritual humanism lies the foundation for multi-planetary ethics in manifest destiny with immanent transcendence for ultimate concern. So, spiritual humanism ensures that humanity's migration into space is a physical movement and a spiritual awakening. I quoted, "Dream of Marx, by all means, but do so in a spirit of hope for new life, not fear of death." Thank you very much.